hot in the city tonight. Ooh, baby, hot in the city tonight. Hot in the city tonight. All right, little girl, baby, hot in the city tonight.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our July 2025 Tri-County Sustainability General Meeting. We are the hub for the 101 towns, 10 legislative districts, and 1.2 million residents of Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties. My name is Patrick McDevitt from beautiful Monroe Township in Gloucester County, and I'm part of the TCS leadership team. In my day job, I'm an energy efficiency analyst for a New Jersey utility. Also, I'm the chair of Bike Gloucester County, founder of Sustainable Monroe Township, and an advocate for electric vehicles with the New Jersey Electric Vehicle Association and the South Jersey Electric Vehicle Club. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. We did want to give a quick shout out to Fran from Sustainable Pittman on the launch of Rewild, New Jersey. It's great to see some more Gloucester County folks making an impact. We'll ask everyone to please put your name, town, and county in the chat. And we do have an exciting program tonight, great guests and a packed agenda, so we'll jump right in. Sticking with Gloucester County for a minute and residents leading the way, let's introduce our first guest, Assemblywoman Heather Simmons. Previously served 4 terms as a Gloucester County Commissioner, making her the longest serving female commissioner in Gloucester County history and the first woman to be elected Deputy Director to the Board of Commissioners. So from solid waste to water quality to land preservation and agriculture, she's fought the good fight for South Jersey, and now she's doing it up in Trenton. So let's give a warm TCS welcome to Assemblywoman Heather Simmons. Welcome, Assemblywoman. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and thank you for inviting me this evening. And it's so wonderful to see such a packed house on a Tuesday evening in the heat of the summer. And thank you also for the entertainment that you provided before the meeting with the weather forecast and the music, and just a wonderful way. I'm going to keep that in mind for future meetings that I do by Zoom as well. So thank you also for the kind introduction. I did serve several terms on the Gloucester County Board of Commissioners, and a lot of that overseeing agriculture and farmland preservation, open space, water quality management, solid waste advisory committee. So I had a lot of experience working with many of you on this call tonight. I did have a few minutes to kind of scan through and see a couple of the folks who are here this evening. So it's great to be back with you among friends. In Trenton, life is a little bit different in Trenton than it is at home in Gloucester County. In Trenton, I represent most of Gloucester County, all of Salem County, and a chunk of Cumberland County. So about 230,000 residents in 3 of the counties within South Jersey. And of course, at the county level, things are all about operations. You know, plowing the roads, maintaining the bridges, dealing with transactional issues in many cases. But in Trenton, it's all about policy. So a little bit of a shift, and getting to work with people like you throughout the state, but mostly here in the 3rd District and in South Jersey on issues that are really important. And one of those issues, as you well know, is transportation, public transportation specifically. I grew up in Philadelphia. I have lived in Gloucester County for about 32 years, which, you know, seems almost impossible considering I'm only 35 years old. But I know I can't hear you laughing, but I know you're all laughing at that. I moved here to take a job with what was then Gloucester County College. And in my day job today, I am back at Gloucester County College. I've been back at the college, which is now Rowan College of South Jersey, for a few years. And my role is overseeing workforce development and career and technical education. And for my students who are non-credit continuing education, some degree seeking students, but mostly workforce development, people who are unemployed or underemployed looking for a better opportunity for themselves and their families. One of their big issues is also transportation. And so my legislative partner, Dave Bailey, who in his day job is the CEO of Ranch Hope, a nonprofit in Alloway, a big issue for his students and their families is transportation and the lack of public transportation. And so in the 3rd District, Dave and our Senate partner, John Berzicelli, who lives in Paulsboro and a longtime mayor of Paulsboro before serving 20 years in the Assembly and now in the Senate, the issue is transportation. And so it's a common theme, and it's one that I know you work very hard to address as part of this group. And it's very important to you and your members and the families that you represent for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is its efficiency, its cost, and the fact that it takes cars off the road. So the three of us have been talking a lot and advocating a lot through legislation and through other initiatives on a statewide level, ways to bring additional transportation options specifically to Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland counties. And so we decided to bring a little bit of attention to it in kind of a fun way, but also an interesting way. And that was by taking the bus through Salem County. The three of us hopped on a New Jersey Transit bus a couple of Fridays ago and drove from Woodstown to Carneys Point on the bus. And along the way, picked up stakeholders, people that we had spoken to in advance, people who are leaders in the community from Inspira, from major employers like Inspira, PSE&G Nuclear, and Salem Community College, people representing nonprofits, people representing government. We had a few council people and mayors. And at the midpoint of this ride, the bus was full, and it was all full with also passengers, just regular passengers. And we spent some time talking. Well, mostly, I should say, listening. And listening to people about what the struggles are for their clients, for their students, for their community partners, for the families and the communities that they serve on a day-to-day basis because of a lack of transportation options within Salem County. Now, I have to tell you, I wasn't really surprised by most of what I heard, that with only one bus route that's within Salem County, if you don't happen to work or go to school or have to see a doctor or go food shopping somewhere along that route, it's a little bit difficult. In fact, it's almost impossible to get to where you need to go. So that puts a lot of folks at an extreme disadvantage in Salem County. So that was a listening exercise, and we call that the beginning. And we were trying to bring attention statewide to the issue. And clearly, on some level, it worked, because I think that may have been a little bit of what helped to spark your interest in bringing one of us from the 3rd District here today. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. When I was a county commissioner, we were involved in the creation of the East-West Community Shuttle, something that some of you may be familiar with, for a similar reason. In Gloucester County, as I'm sure most of you know, if you're not trying to travel on a north-south axis, there is no public transportation option, which means that if you live in Williamstown like Patrick does, and you'd like to have a job in the Pure Land Industrial Park, at Amazon, at one of the food manufacturers, at one of the distribution warehouses, those jobs are closed off to you. You can't get there unless you have a car. And so that's workforce inequity defined. And so one of the things that we did was to seek grant funding. In the case of what we were doing at the time was through the Pascal Sykes Foundation, who provided $1 million grant to help create a cross-county shuttle. And it's still active from Avondale to the Pure Land Industrial Park. And once you get to Pure Land, there is a free internal shuttle that will take you to many of the employers, and in fact now will go north to a number of the other industrial parks along the 295 corridor, like Mid-Atlantic and a few of the others. It's $1 each way, by the way, to ride the shuttle, and it doesn't just start in Avondale and end in Pure Land. It makes, I forget honestly how many stops along the way in a number of municipalities, including Monroe Township, Glassboro, where I live, Harrison, Woolwich, and Logan, including the Pure Land Industrial Park. And so it takes you to shopping centers, it takes you to schools, it takes you to doctors' offices, and it takes you to employers. And along the way, we've added stops because of requests from major employers, including Lysios, which happens to be located in Glassboro, their major bakery, rather. Their bakery factory is located on Ellis Mill Road in Glassboro. And they were telling us, this goes back a number of years, hey, we have, at the time, they had about 800 employees. Now they're up to about 1,100. And many of them come to us via public transportation, and it's a pretty long walk to get to us from any stop from New Jersey Transit, or even from, at the time, the Pure Land Shuttle. So we added a stop for them. And there were another number of other examples along the way. So what we demonstrated with that is it can work. That shuttle has a ridership of close to 4,000 per month, which doesn't sound like a lot if you live in Paramus or if you live in Jersey City. But for Gloucester County, those are significant numbers. That grant lapsed earlier this year. And with the help of our Senator, John Berzicelli, myself, and Dave Bailey, we're able to help secure an additional $1 million in state funding to help keep that alive. And what that means is that 4,000 people a month can get to where they need to go inexpensively and reliably. And so we're looking at that model to do micro transportation options for Salem County as well. Dave Bailey secured a grant of $400,000 to do the exploration for micro transportation options for specifically Salem County. Now, early on, the Pascal Sykes Foundation did provide funding for a micro route through Salem County at the same time as Gloucester County was originating the Pure Land Shuttle. And at the time, it just didn't take off. I don't know if it was the wrong route. It wasn't stopping at the right employers. It wasn't quite meeting the needs of the people we were trying to serve. So we're very hopeful with leadership from a number of the employers and nonprofits and educational institutions within Salem County, as well as whatever assistance they need from us. And hopefully from you and folks like you, we can help reinvigorate that as an option. So that's where we are on transportation. I did want to very, very briefly, because I know you have a packed agenda, just talk very briefly about a few of the other initiatives that I've been involved with in Trenton. I am privileged to sit on the Commerce, Economic Development, and Agriculture Committee. In this session, you are probably aware that agriculture has been looped in with commerce and economic development for the first time. And we, on the committee with Bill Spearman from Camden County as the chair, really believe that that is the correct place for agriculture because our farms are small businesses. They need to be viewed as such. They need to qualify for the same loans and grants and opportunities as small businesses, which I'm sure you're aware, in some cases they do, and in other cases they don't, particularly at the federal level. But we're working toward making sure, at least here in New Jersey, they're viewed as small businesses and have the same opportunities and responsibilities as small businesses. So one of the things that I'm working on with the Ag Committee is farmland preservation. So the 3rd District brought in SADC a couple of months ago and talked to them a little bit about farmland preservation struggles for farmers. Specifically, and I'm sure you know this, it's not just a matter of saying, yeah, pay me to stay on this land. These are delicate negotiations, and they often are very, very complex in how they go. And we want farmers to have all the information up front, so that they can make very informed decisions that are in the best interest of them, their families, and their farms. Because one of the challenges with farmland preservation at the state level is that the value that the state has been offering at the end of the day has only topped out at about 55% of the overall value of the farm. Well, I don't know about you, but if a developer is offering me $10 million for a piece of land, but the state is only coming in at 5.5 million. I'm no mathematician, but I can do that math. And that's not an equitable deal, right? So we've been working with SADC and the state on bringing that up much closer to 100%. So that's something that we're still working on. We very much believe in. Having said that, the structure of farmland preservation and how those negotiations work are a complex thing. So what we've done in partnership with SADC is to have a pilot where there is an individual, happens to be a woman, on the ground in Salem County, knocking on doors and talking to farmers about what this really does mean and what it really doesn't mean, and how those negotiations take place. It's a very complex financial structure, and walking them through it to help them make the right decision, again, for themselves, for their families, and for their farm. And so we're very, very pleased. She's got a little truck. She's tooling around. It is hugely successful in Salem County in educating farmers and communities about what farmland preservation means, what it doesn't mean. And we've just been updated by Chuck Rohr at SADC that the program is going so well that now we're beginning to expand it into Gloucester County, specifically starting with areas like Woolwich, Harrison, South Harrison, Mantua, where there are a lot of farms. So we're going to go from there. I also have a couple of pieces of legislation. I have a 4465, and I have to tell you, I'm not experienced enough as a legislator to have all of my bill numbers memorized. I do have some, but not all of them. So if you ever see me on the street and you say, what about Bill A, whatever, if I give you a confused look, tell me what it's about, because I may not know the number. But A 4465 allows farmers whose land is designated as farmland, but for a number of reasons, and in many cases that reason is age or illness, haven't planted that land. This bill would allow that land to remain in preserved status for longer, right? So rather than automatically withdraw that status from that farm, which happens in a lot of cases, and then the farmer or the family is like, well, wait a minute, we're still using that for farmland purposes. Well, but you haven't planted it in X number of years. So we're trying to slow down, put the brakes a little bit on that process so that mistakes aren't made in how those farms are preserved. And the other one is the New Jersey Loves New Jersey Farmers Act. And this one is interesting. It's a business tax and an income tax credit for farm operators to help compensate for losses in farm products. And so I really like that bill. We do see things like it in other farm communities across the country, and we really want to bring a stronger version of that here to New Jersey. And then another one is a New Jersey Infrastructure Bank Bill, A 5621, which provides an additional $2.4 billion for water infrastructure projects. And what this will fund are clean water and drinking water projects. and that would be through the budget. I know that one of your other interests is in bike safety, and so I did want to mention a bill that I want it to be one of the prime sponsors on, which is 4765, and this one requires driver education and testing on our responsibilities as drivers when we're approaching and passing pedestrians and bicyclists on the road. So obviously, in our communities here in southern New Jersey, where we do have a lot of on-road multi-use trails, this is particularly important. I did want to mention as well the Energy Bill Watch bill, which the governor just signed earlier this summer, and that was one that we in the third district were really proud about. And you know, we all want to make sure that we're looking for ways to reduce our utility bills. This bill or this law now is not one of those bills that's going to reduce your energy bill. But what it does do is provide information. And we all know that information is power. And what it does is it provides to us as ratepayers an update mid-cycle on how much our usage is, so that we can make informed decisions about maybe raising the temperature 1 degree or 2 degrees, which can help bring down our usage and thereby bring down our bill. Is that lowering people's bills? I'm hopeful that it gives them at least the information to put them on the path to perhaps bring that bill down a little bit. But what it provides to us, again, as ratepayers, is information. And we believe strongly that that's another tool in the arsenal. I also just signed on to the Code Red bill. It's pretty hot out today. I'm actually down in Cape May County with my family right now, and it was actually 92 degrees on the beach today, which is kind of unusual. Usually when you're right next to the water, it's a little bit cooler. Well, today wasn't one of those days, and it was very still. And the Code Red bill is just like the Code Blue program, which exists in New Jersey that many of you I know are aware of. Code Red says that when the temperature rises to a certain level, that there need to be places available for people to go in to stay cool. Because we all know that these temperatures at this high level are just as dangerous, if not more so, than cold temperatures that we get in the winter. And so that's really important to people. I'm just going to close by saying I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Philadelphia, where there was a lot of public transportation and a lot of services that we don't always have as quick access to here in suburban and rural communities. But when I became employed at Gloucester County College, it was my first real job after college. I was 22 years old when I started at Gloucester County College. I was at the time the youngest employee at the college, and I shared an office with my boss. I was in entry-level public relations, and I shared an office with my boss, who was the oldest employee at the college. And maybe in a different meeting, we can talk about how much you learn when you're singing, you know, Madonna and other 80s songs in the office with a guy who was a newspaper man in the 50s, and how much you learn from that. It was a great experience for me. But at that time, I chose to make South Jersey my home. I believed at the time, and I still do now, 30 odd years later, 34 years later to be exact, that this is where I want to be. And my first home was in Pittman. I've lived in a number of communities. I now live in Glassboro. I've worked at Rowan University over the years. I've owned my own business. I've served as an elected official in a couple of different capacities. And like you, I've made an informed decision to jump in and get involved. And that doesn't mean that I know all the answers. In fact, most of the times it means I don't know any of the answers, because like you, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So if I had a call to action for you, it would be to help me and Dave and John and the other legislators here in South Jersey, but particularly us, since I'm the one who happens to be sitting here with you this evening, to get bills passed that provide additional transportation options. I would love for you through Patrick or through Sean or however it is you do this to help get involved with us in helping to create additional public transportation, to advocate for additional public transportation options for the people of South Jersey. It is critical that people have reliable, less expensive ways to get to work, school, and medical appointments. And even more importantly, it's critical to get cars off the road and to have an eye on the environmental health of South Jersey. We are the Garden State. It is beautiful in southern New Jersey, very flat, but very, very beautiful. And we want it to stay that way. And we can make a difference in that. And so with that, I'll say thank you so much for inviting me. And I don't know if we're doing questions, Patrick, but I will follow your lead.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was excellent information. Please do keep in touch with your legislation and how it progresses and how we can support it. There's a lot of crossover, as you recognized, between our concerns and your work that you're working on. So we really appreciate you being here. And yes, it was your social media post from the bus ride that prompted us to reach out and get in touch. So really appreciate
Well, I
what
hope
you're
if
doing.
you get a chance, you'll follow our joint, we have a joint legislative page. I also have a personal social media page, which is very active, just Heather Simmons on. I'm on Facebook, and I think that's my age showing there. But apparently my age assures me I'm cross-platform. So
Yep.
you can
Excellent.
find me, you can find all of us. I hope that you'll follow us and stay abreast of some of the work that we're doing to make South Jersey and the 3rd Legislative District more affordable, more accessible, and keep our people working and learning and staying here in South Jersey.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks so much again, and hope you can stick around for the rest of the meeting. We really appreciate you coming out and joining us tonight.
Well, thank you. I actually do have another meeting, so I'm going to have to jump off.
No worries. We know
but
how to get in touch with you now.
Yes, you do. And I know you've been in touch with Mike in my office. In fact, I think Mike is here with us right now. You know how to get to him. You know how to get to me. And I hope that you will. And we will make a concerted effort to provide you with updates on the legislation and initiatives that we're doing that are part of your goals and objectives. And we really appreciate the work that you're all doing.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. We'll definitely keep in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Switching gears, pun intended. Last fall, New Jersey Transit Board of Directors announced Franck Beaumin as the agency's customer advocate. Franck has extensive customer-focused perspective with his transit background in Europe as well as in Boston. And now we have someone to represent our interest with the largest state transit agency in America. Welcome, Franck, to the Tri-County meeting.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good evening, everyone. Tough to speak after an Assemblywoman. There's no way I'm going to be as interesting. I'll try my best. Well, first, let me say it's an honor to be speaking with you tonight. I'll be honest, I'm more accustomed to one-on-one conversation with customers than addressing large groups, but bear with me as I get used to this setup. Like you said, my name is Franck Beaumin, and I serve as the customer advocate for New Jersey Transit. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm French, so if there's something you don't understand, don't hesitate. Ask me to repeat. I won't take offense. Now, I have been working in the public transit industry for about 11 years now, starting my career in Bangladesh on a bus rapid transit project before being hired by a major public transportation operator based in Paris, where I was working with their international team, assisting project in numerous countries, and improving service on different modes: bus, metro, subway, tram, etc. So this operator is the one actually which sent me to the United States. My first experience in the United States was, like you mentioned, in Boston. I was their passenger communication manager for the commuter rail that is being operated on behalf of the MBTA. So my big focus until I left them last year was to improve the passenger communication during planned and unplanned disruptions. Now, fast forward to October 24, when I was selected by New Jersey Transit to serve as their customer advocate. I became the voice of the customer, if you like, carrying their concerns and suggestions to the board of New Jersey Transit, right? And I will say that my role is quite unique, not just at NJ Transit, but also within the transit industry, at least in the United States, because as far as I know, there is no equivalent position of an advocate who is formally part of a transit agency's organizational structure. That is very unique. And that position is a great opportunity for me, but for the organization as well, to assess the different aspects of the customer experience on every mode, to identify opportunities for improvement at every step of the passenger journey, and work with the operational teams to implement these solutions as much as possible, right? So now, because I do not have a team, because nobody reports to me technically, and because I only report to the board, my mission, I would describe it as very much diplomatic, right? Because as I'm trying to bring change in such a big organization, and just as a reminder, New Jersey Transit is the largest statewide public transportation system in the country. I have to convince the exec team, the board, and of course the operational teams that my suggestions can genuinely enhance the passenger journey without negatively impacting, affecting employees' work or creating financial risk. And I must say that so far, the majority of New Jersey Transit teams have been supportive, and I think they have the right customer mindset, contrary to what a lot of people may think, right? So I appreciate it all the more, especially since New Jersey Transit, like nearly all transit agency across the country, is facing financial challenges, right, due to the exhaustion of federal COVID-19 federal funding, and you being close to Philadelphia, obviously you've heard about what's going on over there. So it is a very serious threat. Now, when I started my role at New Jersey Transit, I created a roadmap to guide my approach to customer advocacy, right? So there was no handbook, there was a new position. So I had to improvise a lot. And this roadmap included the discovery of the network, both from a customer perspective as well as from an operational standpoint, dissecting the passenger experience, and of course, building connection with communities. And that's why I'm here with you tonight as well, right? So there are several ways to contact me. And if you don't mind, Patrick, I would like to share my screen just to share these different ways to contact me. Because if you have comments if you have comments today, great. But if you want to stay in touch with me, I'm happy to share these ways. All right. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So if you visit the first one, if you visit New Jersey Transit website, you will find on the home page a link to the dedicated customer advocate form. So I review absolutely every single message I receive, and I try to respond in a timely manner, right? So you can go on the website on the home page, or you can just type njtransit.com/advocate, right? I also have a Twitter account that I created back in December, where a customer can interact with me directly. Just tag NJTransit_CA, right? Now, I also host listening forums at various locations around the network. The last one I held was at the Walter End Transportation Center in Camden back in June, and I have another one planned, for next week at Newark Penn Station, starting at 4:30 p.m. on August the 5th. I plan to come back to South Jersey September or October for a big meeting where usually I gather some of the operational team members so they can respond to many inquiries on the spot. Now, I also attend public meetings and events across the state for various reasons, including safety, because it's a good conversation starter. But you can contact me directly at this email address, customeradvocate@njtransit.com. And each month, I report to the board and share a summary of the challenges that have been brought to my attention, concern across all mode of transit, that I try to sum up. And I present also a dashboard that includes metrics that I analyze from the customer service database, and I present to the board and to the public, right? So I invite everybody to attend the operation and customer service meeting that happens every month. and during which I present my dashboard. They are stream live, so if you cannot attend in Newark, which I understand is a big distance, you can always watch the meeting online. They are available a few hours or the day after the meeting. They're available for review as well. So for all information, njtransit.com/board. As part of my role, I like to manage customers' expectation. I'm going to do it with you as well. I want to clarify that I do not represent New Jersey Transit. I'm here, like I said, to explain my job, but also to collect your feedback, right? And to attempt to provide you with some context regarding the issues you want to raise today, right? So I probably won't have all the responses you expect. I'll try my best, but if I don't have them, I'm happy to just collect the inquiries and provide the response later on if you want to do that.
Great. Yeah, that would be excellent. We do have several transit fans and advocates in our audience, as you can imagine. So if you're okay taking a few questions, we'd like to let them unmute and ask their questions. I will just ask the questioners to please remember we do have additional topics in the meeting, so we'll try to keep it as brief as we can. But I see Bill Ritzler, and I'd like to call on you first, Bill. And if you can start us off, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Patrick, and bonsoir, which is not my greatest pronunciation of French, but thank you very much, Mr. Beaumont, for taking the time this evening to be with us here at the meeting. I'm actually the chairman of the TCS Public Transportation Subcommittee. My question this evening revolves around the former New Bus BCG initiative, which was paused underneath of the former Transportation Commissioner Diane Scicchetti Gutierrez, and we're asking about the BCS bus initiative in realigning the existing network with the reality of current travel patterns in southern New Jersey. We were thinking that the study should include the full spectrum of customer-affecting attributes, including frequency, route modification, fare boundaries, support for intermodal transfers, accessibility issues, and pretty much anything else that's a customer-facing environment.
Taking some notes, Bill. Thank you for your comment. So yes, this is a big project. It's about reimagining 27 bus routes in South Jersey, and at this point, I know the effort is very much focused on matching the identified needs to the resources, which I know I've mentioned it. The resources are an issue, so I don't have a lot of information for you tonight. I can tell you that's something that the capital team and the bus planning team is very much looking into, right? I can't tell you exactly what phase of the projects they are. I know they collected a lot of data, they collected a lot of feedback from customers, and I'm going to try to get more information for you. That's okay. I have Patrick and Sean contact, so I can give you more information within the next few days, if that's okay with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. And I believe I did see Kristen Curtis in the room as well. Kristen, are you with us?
I am, and I just have one quick question for Mr. Beaumin. It's really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for attending. I wanted to share, you talked a little bit about the forums and different things like that people have shared some of their thoughts and concerns. I work at the Walter Rand Institute at Rutgers Camden, and we actually do reports where we go out and we speak to community members. I was wondering how you might be engaging those that might not be on the transit route or able to make the town hall that you might be, holding. Are there other ways that you're engaging individuals? Because we've heard a lot across all of the regions. We've done a lot of reports and focus groups in the region, and folks, have talked about safety, cleanliness, access to more buses, more routes. So I'm sure all the things you've heard.
Yeah, no, I am very sensitive to all these topics. I do receive a lot of these comments, and we collect a lot of very insightful feedback at the last listening forum. So I did share with you the information to contact me directly. I'm also happy to talk to people directly on the phone, on Teams, or in person, right? It's just send me a request via the email address or via the form if you prefer, or even via Twitter. And usually I'm pretty quick to respond. I look at my availabilities and like, all right, how about we meet at a certain location, which is, potentially problematic. If it's not convenient, we can meet on Teams, we can meet on the phone. I'm very flexible.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Also, I think I have Anthony. Are you here with us? No, Anthony? How about Edward? Edward Bombaro?
That's I'm here. Can you hear
Ah.
me?
Now we can, yes.
Anthony sent me a text message a few hours ago. He has a family emergency. Someone's in hospital. He said he wasn't going to be able to make it, but he was going to try. Well, I'm Edward Bombaro. I'm the president of the Delaware Valley Association of Railroad Passengers and a contributing member to TCS. We at the Delaware Valley Association of Rail Passengers have long supported the expansion of passenger rail services in southern New Jersey. And I have a kind of a two-part question, and you might not be able to answer much of this, but first part of the question is, why doesn't New Jersey Transit make any effort to publicize or speak about the history of passenger railroading, which covered basically all major points in southern New Jersey, in order to propagandize or advertise for any possible expansion of passenger rail service? And secondly, why isn't New Jersey Transit paying more attention to and focusing more on rail passenger riders' needs in South Jersey beyond just the Atlantic City line, especially as the population has surged in areas like Bridgeton, Millville, Vineland, areas of Cape May County, and even areas of seashore points that were traditionally served by passenger rail service?
For your question, Edward. Yes, I probably won't have all the information you're looking for. I can tell you that right now, why New Jersey Transit is not advocating, or at least looking for more to promote more rail service in South Jersey. At the moment, right now, it's resources. Right, more service means more cost, and at the moment, the financial resources are very much constrained. Right, so that's the reason right now. In the past, I am not sure. I could tell you when New Jersey Transit rail subsidiary was created, the ridership was very different, but they inherited a system in bad condition, in bad shape. And so already in the 80s, the ridership was not strong enough to justify some of the services that existed. So I think one of the main concern, and I'm not saying it's a legit one necessarily today, but the concern for a long time was, are we going to have enough ridership to justify such service in South Jersey, given the how do you say this, the low density of population in the area? There's always a question wherever you go, whatever country or area you go, and I have the same problem in France. In more rural areas, it was always more difficult to justify it because you have to look for additional resources that you don't have to worry as much about in urban areas, right? So let me dig into it a little bit, right? I'm going to ask for your email address so we can communicate it potentially on the phone at a different time to go more in details into the information I can get for you.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And lastly, I believe we have John Greminger here as well.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. So my question had to do with the observation I had today, actually. I'm not a bus rider, but I work across from a bus stop and drop my kids off at daycare across from a bus stop. Are there any efforts for signal priority for buses? Because I see a lot of them sitting at red lights and they have dozens of stops along their route. So I have to imagine that adds, 30 seconds to each red light they hit. So is there stuff in place now, or is there anything lined up in the near future to
Not that I'm aware, Jonathan. That's a good question. It's a system that exists mostly for light rail, I'll be honest with you, that I've seen across different countries for trams and ground levels metros, but I've not seen it in New Jersey for buses. I may be wrong, so something I can also double check. we could look into it. I assume it has a cost, and that's a problem. And it's also about coordinating with counties and the state, right? Because for bus everywhere, if you want a bus shelter, if you want a bus stop, New Jersey Transit is not the only decider on these topics. We need to make sure that the counties and townships and states are on the same page and allow a bus stop to be installed. But it's kind of the same thing when it comes to rules on the road and traffic lights, right? So I would have to look into it. I honestly don't think there's such a system as priority given for buses at most lights right now.
Great.
All right, great. Thank you all for the questions. Frank, we're going to have to leave it here for now. We really appreciate you coming on tonight, and we're definitely hoping we can stay in touch and keep up with your progress as you advocate for all of us riders.
Thank you very
thank
much.
Yep. All right. So now we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to talk about e-mobility and how microtransit is already contributing to our communities. So to lead this part of the conversation from Sustainable Jersey, it's Maple Shade's own Tori Bearden is with us tonight. Hey, Tori, how are you?
Patrick, and hey everyone, I'm doing good, and apologies for my camera. I have no idea what's going on there, but I'm happy to be here. So I have a few things to share. One in just the realm of the sustainable Jersey world, and it's great because it's on topic with today's meeting.
Yep.
My summer project and just in general sustainable Jersey work right now is leading me to create a shared mobility action. So I have a slide to present here.
Looks good.
Thank you. Oh, hold on. See, this is where we get, we'll just do it right here because of the way that my computer likes to do the multiple screens. So we've been working over the summer to develop a shared mobility action, and we really want to hit all parts of what we consider shared mobility and getting municipalities points for having these projects and promoting the sustainable transportation method. So we are going to be offering 3 point tiers for this action. One focusing on micromobility, which we're classifying as bikes, scooters, e-bikes, those types of projects. 10 points is what we're considering microtransit. So we are counting this as your shuttles, your vans, any kind of transit there, your senior shuttle buses. That's a mode of transportation, and we're promoting the alternative fuel vehicles for the sustainable message as well. And then we're going to be doing 10 points for EV car share, which would be a electric vehicle that's parked in one spot that's available for residents to use. And for any of these, you can stack them so you can get up to 30 points if you have all of these projects in your municipality. And if you are in a, right now we are considering using the Department of Environmental Protection's overburdened community status, but you would get an additional 5 points if you're in an overburdened community because we want to promote these transportation options in the areas that do need them. The two big things I wanted to promote, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat now, is that we're going to be having a working group next week to talk about this action and the development of it. So if your town has any experience in any of these types of shared mobility projects, or if your company has any experience in working with this, I would love to hear your input as we're developing this action, trying to get municipalities resources. And then as well, if your town has done this, I have created a Google form trying to get just general information of like project costs and resource needs. So I have that form as well that I'm dropping into the chat. Anyone could fill that out, and it's just getting just general information for me on that action development. So I appreciate anyone that would want to come to that, and thank you for that. And we have two people that actually are contributing to the shared mobility space, and that's where we're going to lead next to our conversation. First, we're going to bring in Ben Haygood from Isles, and we also have Robert Corrales from Camden Community Partnership to tell us about GOTrenton and Camden Loop. So we're going to start with Robert tonight. So give us a briefing on Camden Loop. Is Robert here?
Yes, thank you. I was just
there you are.
trying to use multiple screens here, and
oh no, I'm doing it too. You're good.
And I'm gonna try to do a walk and chew gum at the same time. So you're gonna have to just apologize for 1 second as I share my screen. All right. And it never fails, right, with the technology and everything. All right.
All
folks
right,
can
we
see
see ya.
that. All right.
Yep.
So I'm using this new Canva that the younger folks in my office are teaching me how to use. So, all right. All right. Well, just thank you again, Tori. As I was saying, my name is Robert Corrales, and I'm a vice president for Camden Community Partnership. I just want to thank Tri-County Sustainability for this opportunity to highlight one of our successful initiatives, the Camden Loop. There we go. For many residents in Camden, the Camden Loop is more than a transit service, it's a lifeline. To give you a brief history, the Camden Loop was launched back in 2023 by CCP to address barriers identified through a community survey report. And in particular, Camden Loop fills a critical gap in a city where about 58% of households own just one car or no cars at all, and public transit options are limited or unreliable. The report also revealed that of those who don't have a vehicle, 70% of those without vehicles are relying on just walking, biking, or just a delayed transit connections, and which often leads to missed work shifts, medical appointments, and classes.
Robert, really quick, I don't know if anyone else, I just wanted to interrupt just in case there is. Is the screen working for everyone else? Or can we
Yeah, it
see the
looks like
presentation?
You're
It's
off
not-
center a bit there.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
it's like cut off in the middle. So just in case we're flipping through slides, I wanted to make sure everyone could see them.
So that's technology one. No,
Yeah, I was
let me
having
see.
it too. What I did was just, I just scrolled through like that. So that
Now-
might be more
now it looks
helpful.
better. Yep.
Can
Yeah.
you see it?
Now
Yep, we can see it from this
All right,
screen.
so I'll do it this way then. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did the
Thanks.
same
Alright.
thing. So you're all good.
No problem. Thank you for letting me know.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tori.
it.
Yep.
Now for the Camden Loop leverages modern innovations in micro transit technology, such as dynamic routing and on-demand ride hailing to provide affordable, flexible, and accessible transportation. With over about 16 active riders, 16,000 active riders, that the Loop offers direct connections to business districts within the city, employment hubs, and public transit systems, including NJ Transit, PATCO, and the light rail. Oop, there you go. And the $2 fare, and yes, that's $2. It ensures affordability, and the services has already delivered more than 100,000 rides in the 2 years that it's been in service, while maintaining a rider satisfaction rate of 4.9 out of 5 stars. The Loop also plays a critical role in addressing food insecurity. Back in 2022, NJEDA designated much of Camden as a state's highest ranked food desert community. Camden Loop connects residents to 5 full-service grocery stores located just outside the city limits. And for a quick stat, about 27% of our rides are going to the grocery stores, and about 22 are going to those transit hubs I mentioned before with PATCO, Walter Rand, and the light rail. Additionally, we have about over 81% of our Loop drivers are Camden residents, and more than half of the fleet are ADA compliant, ensuring access to individuals with disabilities. Due to the rising demand, the fleet has already expanded from an initial 5 vehicles to now 8 vehicles within just the first year of operations. And additional drivers were hired and hours were extended. And then earlier this month, we got the great news that, we was able to secure additional state funding to potentially expand our fleet, or perhaps even add electric vehicle, which is one of my biggest things that I want to do. And as long as I'm a CCP, I'm going to get those electric vehicles within our fleet. Mark my words. And also to sustain operations to meet the growing transportation needs of the residents of Camden. We also have partnered with institutions like Cooper University Hospital and Rutgers to buy essentially a group of passcodes in a way, because they'll give their students who are out doing internships within the city free rides, or Cooper is giving those codes to their patients because they're buying them in bulk. It's say the $2 rate, $2 a ride, versus them buying them the Uber passes. So it's like they're getting their savings, and it's also contributing back to our Camden Loop. So this is just like a win-win for everybody, a win-win-win for everybody. And also what we also do is, because since CCP, we hold a lot of community events And they're across the city. So what we also do is we offer free rides to a lot of those events to ensure that Camden residents have that ability to attend them, whether they're going to be at the waterfront or they're in East Camden or down in the South Side. We want to make sure that every resident has the opportunity to explore not just their neighborhoods, but other neighborhoods within the city. And I just want to say on a personal note, this is truly one of my favorite initiatives that's under CCP's portfolio, because here we're seeing is actually seeing how it impacts many of the lives of Camden residents. This isn't just about transportation; it's about mobility, equity, and opportunity, and just like the lives that we're changing, that we're helping out. This is why we're in this realm, right? Whether be my former hat. I used to be in government for about 21 years doing the public service, or I'm in my new hat in the nonprofit world. This is really where it's a game changer, where we're really affecting people's lives and really helping them out and making their lives a little bit easier. And on that note, I try to do it real quick, and then I hope if there's any questions, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. All right, now I got to unshare my screen. I don't want to do that now.
Robert,
there we go. I
thank you
got
so
it.
much.
I got it.
Thank you so much. That was great. And honest, like I said, it's tying into my initiative. It's great to hear that towns are already doing this action and they have it on the ground and it's available to them. So hearing from another resource, we're going to pivot over to Ben to talk to us about the GOTrenton program.
Good evening, everyone. We'll see how my tech does now. How's that looking there to everyone?
Let's see. Says you're
It's
sharing.
loading.
Come up yet. Okay. Give it a second.
Tell me when we're good to go here.
Oh, there it goes.
All right,
Yep,
yep.
it looks
Good
good.
to go? All right,
Yep.
nice. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ben Haygood. I work for ISLES. I'm the director of the Johnson Center for Learning and Policy inside of ISLES. As some of you who may be familiar with ISLES know, we're not a transportation organization. We're a community development and environmental nonprofit. But after several of our different initiatives, whether it was urban agriculture or alternative high school, we realized that transportation was something that we had to solve. Not we had to solve, but we had to find a solution for, I'll say. And so we dug in, and page down is not working. Give me 1 second.
It's a good old tech.
All right. All right, great. Here we go. We're really similar to Camden Loop and Robert. We have a lot of the same issues in Trenton. A good number of our population doesn't have a car to get to where they need to go. We did over 100 on-the-ground surveys with our folks, did 3 listening sessions to really get a grasp for what that meant and what that looked like for the population that we were attempting to serve. And in the middle of all this, Marty Johnson, who was the founder of ISLES, and started this 10 or so years ago, they wanted to do it with zero emissions. So we are all electric. We have nothing that is not 100% electric. Right now, we're made up with 5 Kia Niros. They're on the left, 3 Ford E-Transit vans, and then we have a brand new headquarters with some charging equipment I'll discuss in a second, as well as some charging infrastructure that's going up across the city of Trenton. There's currently 14 level 2s being installed at 10 different locations across the city of Trenton that are part of this project, that hopefully will be side by side with some new chargers with some car share services in a few in a year or so. So you can see the breakdown or the geographical footprint that we have here, and some of the key stops that we have. We've just moved to cover the entire city. When we opened in September of 23, we were only covering about half the city. And now you can see we're covering there. That's the entire city limits. And we've got our eyes on more. You're going to hail the ride through the app. This is officially a micro transit service, which means on-demand tech-enabled transportation service. I don't think I thought I had a slide in here of my kiosk. So one of the things that we did from the very beginning, it's been something that was my hill to die on, is that everybody has to have access to this service. Right now we're fare free. We're going to be moving to a fare more than likely this fall, more than likely $2 as well. But right now we're fare free, and we wanted to be able to provide the service and provide access to folks that might be unbanked or not have a phone. A lot of times folks don't realize that while it may seem like that a lot of times everyone has the ability to have access to a smartphone or even a regular phone or the internet. For a lot of populations, that's just not a consistent everyday thing. And so if they don't have access to the internet and Wi-Fi and just the ability to hail that ride, we wanted to make sure anybody could. So we've got kiosks set up at now 4 of our different locations that allow folks to hail a ride through the kiosk. We actually have a customer service line as well, but I'll hit on that in a second. This is just some of the data for any of the data wonks out there. You can see some of the numbers. And one of the reasons that wait time was getting high there at the end was really demand. Our demand is really outstrapped our supply 2 or 3 times over. So these are a few of the things that we just took care of in spring to kind of step it up a little. We expanded our coverage area. Like I said, we were at half the city. Now we're at the entire city. We moved from low service vehicles up to a regular vehicle. We were using Polaris Gems and the 4D Transit vans. Now you can see where we've moved to the Kia Niros. We moved to a curb-to-curb service. Initially, we had saved a little bit of money. We were a little limited at startup with what we could do, both territory-wise and actually service-wise. So we had hot spots where folks had to sometimes walk a block or two, sometimes not, if it was a key area. We've now upgraded to provide true curb-to-curb or door-to-door service. We've added a customer service hotline so you can hail a ride through a regular old phone number, and we went to 7 days a week on Sunday. You can see just a fun graph here with ride request. Let me see if I can move my thing here. I can't even read my own. There we go. So the blue is total trips, red is total request, and passengers in green. You can see some of the popular hot spots for the pickup and drop-offs. And what we're doing the next 4 to 12 months. We're going to be bringing 3 new Kia Niros in with some additional funding that we've just secured. So we'll be up to 8 Kia Niros. And then in the next, call it 5 to 6 months, we're going to be getting 5 to 6 new Hyundai Ioniq 5s there. So, and probably some new vans as well. So we're going to be going from a fleet of 8 to somewhere close to 15 within the next 6 to 12 months. We're looking at different corridors out in Mercer County. So you can see the Trenton city limits is in gray there. That's where we're currently covering. Fare free will be a fare eventually, more than likely. And then 3 new corridors we're going to be picking up in a variety of areas. We're looking at different ways to serve that specific area. We've done a lot of digging, a lot of due diligence to determine what folks need to get to that isn't currently served by transit. We're in communication with New Jersey Transit to make sure we're not, serving something that's already being served in an effective manner. So you can see some of the stops there. We're hoping to hit out there, Capitol Health, the airport, the Home Depot, Walmart in Hamilton, things like that are currently outside of Trenton that folks need access to. This is the headquarters. We did it unintentionally backwards. You always want to have, obviously, no-brainer headquarters in place first. We started trying to get this headquarters installed over 4 years ago. But we have now opened up and we have 2 single port fast chargers. There you can see those. You're looking at those outside the fence there in that shot there in the middle. And then we've got 2 dual port level 2s inside the fence. All those are different levels of access for the public. The fast chargers are 24-hour access to the public, and then the ones inside the level 2s are more intended for GOTrenton trickle charging overnight for our vans and Kia Niros to charge overnight. But those are available to the public during the day as well. That new headquarters is located right behind the Trenton Fire Department headquarters on Perry Street. Technically, it's on Allen Street, but it's right off of Perry Street. So what's next? We talked a little bit about scaling up the capacity to meet the demand. That's been the toughest part. Well, second to the electrification part, which was the toughest part in all of this, to be brutally honest, but most proud of. So scaling up is really what we are struggling with, and we've been struggling with. We've been maxed out on our budget for a while now. The fare really only brings in a little bit. It's obviously a lot. It's a highly or it's a subsidized service, and so we're constantly looking for funding. We have some programs through the state, through the county, and it's taking up a lot of our time to try to find the right amount of funding, because there is a population exterior to Trenton and Mercer County that we're trying to serve. So it's been a constant battle for us to try to meet that demand with an accurate supply, with a more adequate supply. But I think we've gotten there, and so like I said, within the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to be adding somewhere between 8 and 9, possibly more vehicles into our fleet. We're refining the user app experience. We're making it more friendly to the user and the driver that is working in Trenton. All our local Trenton drivers, FYI. Like I said, branching further in Mercer County. And then I referenced earlier, we're starting a partnership to have some car share options. So stand by for some news on that later. And just for folks, if they're not sure what the difference in rideshare and car share is, because I didn't know a few years ago, what we're doing now is a rideshare micro transit service. A car share is when you can use your credit card or another form of payment to rent a car for an hour or a day. These will be all electric options. And then establishing some consistent revenue streams is where I'm trying to get to. And that's it for me. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now, but I sincerely appreciate your time. Thanks. And I think it's back to you now, Patrick.
Yep. Thank you, Ben. That was excellent information. We love seeing these real life examples of stuff happening on the streets right now. So appreciate you guys coming on to share with us. We'll definitely keep in touch with you, and please keep us up to date with your progress. Thanks so much. All right. So now we're going to move from transit into the garden. So, climate change, as we know, does not make it easy to grow vegetables in South Jersey. We've had this excessive rain. Temperatures over 100 degrees can negate all the hard work we put into our gardens. So we wanted to bring in our friend and resident expert, Valerie Brown, to talk to us about saving your summer garden. Hey, Val.
Hi, everyone, and hey, Patrick, thanks for the intro. Great information, a lot of great information about transportation. And just quick note before I start in about sustainability and the gardening. We, the Camden County Office of Sustainability, do have a bike share program. So we do have free bikes available for you. You're welcome to come in and check us out. Right now, our supplies are a little bit low, understandable for the season, but if you really need a bike for recreation or, getting to work, please consider the Camden County Office of Sustainability. So now into this evening's program for our section. The summer gardening strategies, keeping your plants healthy and happy. Well, that's a challenge, as we all know at this time, with all this heat and all the rain. So we're going to give you some essential tips. These are broad strokes things that they're happening in your garden right now. Know that the Camden County Certified Gardeners are here and available to answer all your questions. So let's dive in. Sorry. Okay, so my name again is Valerie Brown. I work for the Camden County Office of Sustainability. We have two gardeners here joining us this evening to answer some of our questions later on. That's Bob Carter and Jerry Dinger. They're incredible gardeners. I always call them farmers because their plots at their community gardens are so large. I call them that's a small farm that they have. But great resources. These are just two of the many gardeners that are available to answer your gardening questions. So what's going on in the garden, right? We have a lot of insects. Some of them are good and some are bad. So how do you find the bad ones? Early detection and proactive measures are key. So you got to go out and look at your plants and see what's going on. Scouting, we call it. Going out and looking at your plants. Definitely turn over the leaf, look under the leaf, look at the stalk, even look at the soil, see if there's anything there that's noticeable. Hand picking, if you do find something, if it's large enough you can pick it off, that's great. If you can't, that's all right. There's other measures you can use. promote beneficial insects, right? So like I said, there's good insects and there's bad insects. Promote the good ones. Encourage the natural predators like ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps. By planting flowers that attract them will help, they will eat the bad bugs for you. If you really do have an insect or pest problem, we encourage organic solutions first, such as neem oil or insecticidal soaps. Please remember that whatever you get, identify the problem, make sure you get the product right for the problem, and know that anything you use, that the label is the law. So you have to follow the label. Being mindful of if you're spraying something or if it's a powder, think of your non-target plants that may be around. So be mindful how you're applying whatever the product is. And also be considerate of, are there pests in the area? Will children be in the area? So think about that before applying anything. In some cases, if you're growing some vegetables, you may do row covers, for vulnerable crops. It's a pretty aggressive, but if need be, you may have to do that. Crop rotation. So from year to year, change where you're putting your same crops, so if your tomatoes, move them around because you may have soil-borne pests that may come up. And so if you rotate it, then it allows the soil to regenerate and not have the pests in there, and they go away if their host isn't there. Okay, so this is a lot of information. I really won't go into every single aspect of all this. This PowerPoint will be available for you. And these are just, the top 6, culprits, if you will. So aphids, right? The target plants are fruits and vegetables, and some of your flowers, and even some of your shade trees. Again, look for them. You can just blast it with water if need be. If need to, you can use neem oil. Squash bugs, right? So the cucurbit family, cucumbers, melons, squash, definitely, you have to check on them, and these guys can be a real problem. Tomato hornworms, target tomatoes mostly, but the nightshade families, eggplants, peppers, and tomatillos. These guys, if you see, and I do have a picture in the next 2 slides, little white things on the back, leave them. A parasitic wasp has put their eggs there, so that will actually take care of it, which is actually really, really cool. Just wait till you see the picture. Japanese beetles, white flies, slugs, snails. These are some of the common pests that you might have in your garden. Let me just show you the picture. So here we go. So again, check this out. So a lot of these, check the aphids. This is the underside of the leaf. So you're going to actually have to flip over the leaf to check it out. And the same with the white flies. This is the picture I was just saying with the parasitic eggs on here on the hornworm right here. So leave this. This is a good thing. So it's pretty gross, but basically these guys are eating the inside of the hornworm. So they're nature's way of addressing the problem. So what is another problem that's common, right? Anyone notice any humidity out there? Yeah, it's been pretty bad. And not to mention these some of these deluge rains that we get. Particularly when they happen at night, the moisture doesn't have the opportunity to dry off the leaves, and then fungus can be a real problem. So what are your tips? So some of these things you have to think ahead of time, planting, not necessarily at this time when the fungus is a problem, but think ahead. Proper spacing of your plants, making sure it's all about the air circulation. If you have it tight and closed, it's warm, dark, moist, you're going to have problems. Water wisely, right? This applies to your plants and even your lawn, which I'll talk about in a second. Water early in the morning. Do not water in the evening, allowing the leaves, the blades of the grass to dry off, and that avoids your fungus problems. At least minimize it if it doesn't completely avoid it. Pruning. Taking off the lower leaves of the tomato plants. Tomato plants the spores are in the soil. So when the rain comes down, hits the soil and actually splashes up and onto the leaves, and then you have tomato blight. If you do suspect a tomato plant to have blight, start at the top, pruning anything that looks like it's diseased. And literally every time between each cut, dip it either into alcohol or a solution of 1 part bleach and 9 parts water. Between each cut, because you could be the vector of transmitting and causing more disease issues. But start at the top and work your way down where you're more likely to have the disease. And also make sure the bottom, when the plant gets big enough, make sure there's no leaves within a few inches, maybe even 4 inches of the soil to allow space for the rain. When the rain does come, it doesn't splash up. Have some mulch, a little bit of mulch around the base of the tomato plant too, so that minimizes the splash up. Sanitation, removing any dead and diseased materials, to minimize fungus, and choosing varieties that are resistant. There are certain varieties of different plants that are resistant to fungal pressure. And if you do have to use fungicides, the same thing. Remember, read the label. It's the law, and make sure you use it appropriately. Make sure you've identified it properly and that you have the right product for the problem. In the lawn, same things with the plants, water in there early in the morning. As far as routine maintenance of your lawn for the seasons, thatching, aerating, mowing at the appropriate height, balanced fertilization. In this heat of the summer, fertilization is really not recommended. It's really a stress on the plants already. You think of your plants like yourself, right? When we're stressed, we're more susceptible to getting a cold or a virus. Your plants are kind of the same thing. So if they're stressed, they're more vulnerable to getting, diseases and fungal diseases to have. Again, make sure you have the right product if you're using a product. And we usually recommend, if at all possible, using neem oil and insecticidal soaps. So here are some pictures of some lawn problems. They're varied. Some of them, the brown patch and the dollar spots, that can kind of look similar, but they are slightly different. The red thread, it's obvious. You'll see it literally looks like red thread. The powdery mildew, you'll see the white substance on there, and the rust, the little almost like fibrous red strand, orange strands on there. What you can do if you suspect you have a problem, please come into the Camden County Certified Gardeners. You can either call them, write them, or again, come in person. They're here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they can help you identify what the problem is. And then once you have once you've identified the problem, then you come up with what's this treatment plan. So fertilizing is really important this time of year. Limited, right? So you don't want to go crazy. You want to be what makes sense. Thinking of your plant throughout the growing season. Take a tomato plant when it first goes in, it's going to need the nitrogen to leaf out, to stay green. But then when you start having flowering and you start actually having fruit, the nutrient demands of the plant change throughout the season. And you can fertilize appropriately during the right time. But in this like real heat, it's a real problem. And with this heat, you're not even probably getting the flowers on the tomato plants because they just can't tolerate this heat. But yeah, so I don't want to necessarily have to go through each and every one, but it kind of just goes through what's appropriate. Tomato plants are, hungry plants, so you will have to fertilize every few weeks, again, throughout the life cycle of the plant and the nutrient demands as it goes on. Always just remember, if you're doing anything granular, any fertilizers, make sure you water thoroughly. The other thing too that we also recommend is soil test kits. Testing your soil. We sell the Rutgers soil test kits here. They're $20. We don't make a profit. You basically come in, purchase the packet, you go home, take your sample, and send it up to Rutgers. It's a really comprehensive list of your soil, and that's a good guide to tell you where to start, where you are as far as the nutrient demands of the plant. And you say, so Rutgers will come back with your profile. Here's your profile. This is what's in your soil. Okay, you want to grow a lawn. This is how you amend your soil. Okay, you want to grow a flower bed. This is how you amend it. Or you want to do vegetables. So they will actually tailor to the use that you want based on your soil profile. So that's really, really helpful. And if you start out your season, if you're growing shrubs and you know what's there, that will really help. Again, if there's any deficiencies in the soil, just like us, if we're not eating properly, we're more susceptible to getting problems. So we really do recommend getting a soil test. Just some basics on NPK. A lot of people have heard NPK. You may have already know this: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Knowing what each nutrient is used for. These are the basics. There are micronutrients that I'm not really going to go into. This is just a overall quick intro to what's going on in your garden now. But nitrogen's for your leafy greens, right? And you know, if you think of greening out, that's when you add your nitrogen. And phosphorus is more for root development, flowering, fruiting. So again, like I said, throughout the summer, as your plants grow, the nutrient demands change. Potassium, just for overall health and vigor of the plant. So that's just a quick guide, just knowing what's going on, what could be going on in your garden right now or in your landscape. The gardeners are here to answer all your questions, right? So again, here's their phone number. You're welcome to come in person. If you come in person, if you can bring a sample, that will be awesome. You're welcome to email us and take pictures, and in the emails include the pictures. That will be really, really helpful for the gardeners to identify the problem. Is it what we call abiotic or biotic? Meaning abiotic, is it something that your neighbor was just out cutting down trees or cutting slit through the soil and cut all the roots, and now your tree's dying from that? That's a human activity. Or the salts from the winter, that's abiotic. Versus biotic, meaning something living, a pest coming along and causing a problem. So the gardeners here can help you with that, identifying the problem. The gardeners also have a newsletter. It's a bi-weekly newsletter. It's actually a lot of information, a lot of great information. They talk about timely topics. They also talk about all their events that are coming up. The gardeners have a lot of events that they post throughout the year, and the Savvy Gardener will be your best information tool to find out what's happening. And to that point, the gardeners are hosting a fall fest. This is our first fall fest that we're going to have. It's Saturday, October 18th from 12 to noon. This is at our campus in Lakeland at 508 Lakeland Road. It really should be a lot of fun. Face painting, pumpkin, scarecrow making, and apple tasting, and we'll have some bulbs available too. All are welcome to come to that. It's a really fun event. Just a couple other things I just want to note about the Camden County Certified Gardeners. They have a massive plant sale once a year. It's the end of April, so that you can go, get your plants from there, your vegetable plants, perennials, annuals, herbs, for the gardeners. The other thing too is we've been getting a lot of questions about education. So next year, every month, they're going to have free educational sessions. They'll all be timely topics, so pertinent to the season. The Savvy Gardener will definitely be the good resource as far as know what's going to happen when, but we also will use the Camden County newsletter. So that's the newsletter through Camden County that you go to camdencounty.com to sign up for. That is all county events, and there's a lot of events happening in the county that you should know too, that you may want to attend. So thank you very much, and don't forget to come check us out at the Fall Fest, and hope to hear from you soon if you have any gardening questions. Well, it looks like we have a question from Michelle from Oakland. Michelle?
But with the tomatoes right now and the heat, losing a lot of my flowers, is there still time in the season to supplement to help with the flowering and the fruiting, or am I at a loss at this point at the end of July?
Well, he can definitely do that, but I'm going to also bring in Jerry and Bob. Do you guys want to answer that? When you guys want to answer it?
I could probably answer that. Like, it's been so hot lately as far as the temperature, and if the temperature is above like 90 degrees, the tomato plants stop flowering. So it's kind of, a lot of it is dependent on the temperature. Bob, do you want to add anything more to that? Bob, just put on your at the bottom.
While he's coming off, so I guess hopefully the temperatures will drop a little bit.
Yes,
towards the end of the season to be able to get some more flowers. But is there also a supplement that I can put on to help with the flowering, to encourage flowering at this point?
Well,
aside from the heat,
we're having a lot of issues with all this water. We get rain, we get deluges, we leach out the soil so fast. Any fertilizer that we put down is probably gone in a very short period of time. So it's kind of better to fertilize a few times. I mean, more often than heavy every other week, maybe a little bit every week. We've experienced a lot of issues in our garden, our community gardens, with yellowing of tomato plants and other things. And it's come to micronutrients. When you get into these fertilizers, there's other things they add in that make things work better, make the fertilizer work better. You can have a fertilizer, and then you can have fertilizer with supplements, iron, sulfur, calcium. Those are things that make the plants work better and utilize the fertilizer that we provide to the plant to utilize. So when we have issues in our garden for vegetables, we look for the additional nutrient values in the fertilizer bag than just plain NPK. That has helped. We've had iron deficiencies, we've had calcium deficiencies, we've definitely had sulfur deficiencies, and which has caused higher pH levels in the soil than we would like to have. Tomatoes don't like sweet soil; they really like a sour, slightly acidic soil, and we've been striving to attain that. Other than that, it's been a crazy year, and it's really hard. It is really, really tough. Our gardens, we're not really producing yet. Maybe September will be a big month, but the flowers should recover from this heat and bloom again. They're going to need some help with some fertilizing and careful. So if you use liquid fertilizers, they leach out of the soil in a very heavy rain. So they don't have a lot of residuals. So that's one of the problems that I think you may be facing. Other than that,
okay.
Pray for cooler weather. Next week, it might be seasonal. Wow, we don't know what to do with that. So, good luck.
Great, thank you. Very helpful.
Next person, Bill. Bill, did you have a question? Bill Johnson?
Yeah. I just had a question kind of along the lines with Michelle. And I was just wondering, I haven't been in some of it's really schools.
Sorry, Bill,
Sure.
we're not hearing you too good.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can fix my. Let me mute myself and see if I can fix it.
Getting a little
And-
better now.
Is it better now at all?
Yep. Go
Okay,
ahead with your
I'm
question.
yelling into my my computer. So I was wondering about like trying to start a second crop. Is that possible doing, or should I start one with it being so hot? I had a somewhat successful garden for the first part of summer. And but again, I've had my challenges too, and it's good to hear that Robert was agreeing with me on what a challenging year it was. So is there any recommendations for stuff that we can put into the ground now, or should I just wait until it gets cooler out? Like, what would you suggest for a second crop?
Well, for a second crop, a lot of our gardeners in our community garden groups are now starting their fall squashes, your butternuts and your acorn squashes. Pumpkins can go in now. Onions can go in. They're not going to get very big. They maybe just become big scallions, but they'll take the August heat and the September cool. Then your lettuces can go in toward the end of August. They'll produce a very nice crop. Radishes can go in September, and they'll produce a nice crop in October. They're 28 days. So radishes from seed to harvest is 28 days for radish. So those kind of things can go in fall. I wouldn't really put those in today. They're too hot for that. I'd wait till September.
Also, green beans.
Yeah. Beans, boy, you're at the 65-day limit on that. They slow down in September. But I did put beans in about 2 weeks ago, and they've come up out of the ground and grown very well. So it could be iffy. But then again, our falls are very warm. So we may get an extra month or two of growing time we're not even planning for. So yeah, beans can go in now. Lettuce, tomatoes, kind of too late for that. They're 45 to 60 days after a plant is developed. So it could be a little late for that. But some of the other fall crops can do well now. Did that answer your question? Got a thumbs up. Good, thank you.
And Gina, do you have a question for Mount Laurel?
Hi, yes. So I have a different type of pest. So I put in my pumpkin and squashes in the ground, and they were growing great and they were blooming, and then something decided to eat almost the entire plants, but now they've bounced back since they've stopped eating them. And I'm wondering if I have enough time for them to flower again and produce any fruit?
Well,
I know.
the plant may come back, and I've had cucumber plants get eaten by my pet groundhog here that I'm trying to get rid of, and they've come back and produced. Your pumpkins, they're 65 to 75 days, so they're going to be a long time development. You may want to protect your investment with some additional seedings, pumpkin especially, because they take a long time, but then they're not really doing to harvest until October, so you have time to bring those back. I would protect the plant more with maybe a netting. Groundhogs are pretty nasty. They climb chicken wire, they'll climb all fences, and if they don't climb, they dig under them anyhow. So it's groundhog has been the really big culprit, more than squirrels and deer, for some of the viney things like squash plants and cucumber plants and things like that. Watermelon especially, they love those. So groundhogs are pretty nasty. So you may want to protect against a groundhog, and that may require a netting or a chicken wire netting over your plants. And that might be a very good deterrent. Sprays, deer repellent, they don't work. You're just wasting money on those things. First rain is going.
Well, thanks for the questions. And I apologize for whizzing through it, but the PowerPoint will be available. But it was really meant to be a broad strokes of some of the challenges that the gardeners are facing right now. Just always remember that, you know, folks like Robert and Jerry are available to answer your gardening questions at our helpline or on the phone or an email. And they do a lot of great programming. And one last plug, sorry, Patrick, I know I'm going a little bit over, but next year, because we've gotten a lot of requests for education, we will be hosting monthly free education. We'll be having programs on every Wednesday, and it will be really awesome. And there'll be timely topics, in addition to our plant sale and in addition to a lot of other things. So if you're really interested in what the gardeners are doing, which they're doing stuff all the time, you should subscribe to the Savvy Gardener. And we don't sell your information, but it does give you all timely topics and all the events that are going on. Thank you, Patrick. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you guys, all of you. I appreciate the work you're doing. And real quick question, Val, can non-Camden County residents take advantage of the Gardeners Helpline?
Yes. Yeah, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And even
Great.
all our events, we don't
Yep.
restrict it. Yep.
Perfect. All right, great. In our last couple minutes, we did just want to mention a couple other events going on. I think I saw Heidi from PPA. Are you with us, Heidi?
Yes, but my intern Maya was going to be speaking on our behalf.
All right. Is she here with us as well?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, there you are. Yep. Please go ahead, Maya.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Maya DeAndrea. I just recently graduated high school at Morristown Friends School, and I'm planning on starting college in the fall at George Washington University to study international affairs. And for the summer, I've been interning at Pinelands Preservation Alliance under Heidi, which has been a really great experience. And one of the things that we've been focusing on and the organization has been focusing on is the Green Amendment. So for those who aren't familiar, the Green Amendment would be a proposed amendment to the New Jersey State Constitution that puts the individual's environmental rights on par with human, political, and civil rights. So this is a pretty incredible piece of legislation because the individual, any person, is the sole beneficiary of what the legislation is trying to accomplish. I think for me, especially as an 18-year-old who just formally got to be part of the political process and vote in my first election, it's honestly been a little bit disillusioning to see what actually happens in the political process. And I think it's so easy to feel like your voice and your vote are powerless against larger corporations, which is why I think the Green Amendment specifically is so powerful, because it gives individuals not only their right to the environment, but legal standing to challenge administrations, corporations, when there's actions that are happening that go against their environmental rights and are taking away their access to clean water, pure air, a healthy environment. And especially in such a divided political climate, the Green Amendment kind of transcends political divides on environmental issues, because once it's put into a state constitution, it's protected no matter who's in office and what that administration is doing. So it serves as a safeguard for any environmental legislation that comes after it. And just to share a little bit about what PPA has been doing to advocate for the amendment's implementation in New Jersey, we've been targeting town council meetings and county meetings to get different municipalities to pass resolutions of support in favor of the New Jersey legislation, then putting in a referendum for the state to vote on if they want the Green Amendment to be adopted into the Constitution. And we're really trying to build momentum within the area to put more pressure on legislators to have the conversation about the Green Amendment and get that actually on the ballot. So Burlington County has already passed a resolution of support. Camden County is interested in doing the same. We had Bordentown pass a resolution last week, and we've spoken to Haddon Township, Brooklawn, Morristown, and Cherry Hill in the past weeks. If you're interested in learning more or getting involved in our advocacy work for the Green Amendment, we have a town hall tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Rutgers Camden campus. If anyone would be interested, we would love to have people come out and help support the fight for the Green Amendment. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maya. That was excellent. Moving on quickly, I think we have Kiana with us tonight as well.
Hello. Hi,
How's it
everyone. Can
going?
you hear me?
Yep, hear you fine. Thank you.
Awesome. I know we're over time, so I'll try to be brief, but hi, everyone. My name is Kiana Agamirzadeh. I'm representing Dewberry Engineers. We're working with Burlington County and NJDEP to produce a multi-municipal climate change related hazard vulnerability assessment, which I know is a mouthful, so we'll just call it a CCR HVA for 11 communities along the Route 130 corridor in Burlington County. So those communities for reference are Burlington City, Burlington Township, Florence, Palmyra, Cinnaminson, Delran, Riverton, Riverside, Willingboro, Edgewater Park, and Beverly. To provide some context, this work is supported by NJDEP's Resilient New Jersey program. Oh, thank you. That's great. Resilient New Jersey program and focuses on hazards like sea level rise, heat, drought, and other climate related hazards impacting those communities. And the intention behind this work is to develop a set of strategies to reduce risks and lay the groundwork to meet the requirements of the municipal land use law, which requires that a CCR HVA be incorporated into any new land use plan element of a municipal master plan. And then ultimately this work will be used to inform land use decision making within participating communities. So as a part of this process, we've held a series of public and municipal official stakeholder meetings, and tomorrow we'll be holding our second public meeting, which will be virtual, where we'll share outreach progress completed so far. We'll share our takeaways and the results of the draft vulnerability assessment, and we'll try to identify objectives and priorities to inform the best adaptation and resilience actions going forward. So if you'd like to attend this meeting, if you're impacted by any of those communities, if you're living in any of those communities, it would be great if you could attend. You have to register. So I will, oh, that's great. I see that I think the registration link was just shared. I'm going to drop it in the chat again. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you need the link before tomorrow, but you have to register if you want to attend. And then a Zoom link will be sent to you. The meeting will be at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Again, Zoom, and please register if you want to attend. You can't attend if you don't register. So that's all for me. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and we hope some folks are able to attend tomorrow. Thank you. Next, we wanted to move on to Chris Whitehead. Is Chris here with us tonight? Not seeing Chris or hearing him. How about Lara? Are you with us? Lara Lipsky? Going once, going twice? Nope. Okay. Well, we tried to get everybody in. Apologies that we did go a little bit over, so sorry for that. All of our links and contact info were in the chat. We're going to stop there because we're at the end of our time. Thanks so much for all of our guests for joining us tonight. And please do remember to join us on the TCS Discord. Tomorrow, this meeting should be on the TCS YouTube channel. And of course, always contact us by email or social media. info@tcsahub.org is our email. And thank you all for coming tonight. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.